Hi, Dave from David's To-Do List. Did I cut my shock towers out for no reason? It appears I may have. I can't get the clearance I need for the motor I was going to put in there. I ordered two different sets of headers. Neither one fit. And they're supposed to be without cutting your shock towers. And even with the shock towers cut, they wouldn't fit. So I'm not sure what I could be doing wrong. I know I did raise up the back of my engine a little since then, but I remember even when I was trying to fit those in there, I was putting blocks and stuff under the motor mounts trying to get it up in the air more with the cutouts in here, and it still wasn't clearing. So I'm not sure. I went as low as I think I could possibly go. You might be able to gain a little bit more in here if you radius this a little bit, but when my piece is in here, I'm within like 3/16 of my upper control arm. So I don't think I have any more room to go down on that. And I also did the Shelby drop. So I thought that would gain me some more room here, but it really doesn't, because when your A-arm pivots, you have to have room for it here, where these are right here. This comes up. So, I mean, I guess I could roll maybe a little more off that corner, but I don't think I'm going to gain enough to make a difference. So, I'm putting 1/8 inch back in here. Well, there's a weird shadow. So, should be, I'm hoping it's strong enough. I've seen other people do them with thinner material, and they seem to hold up. There's my rough shape of my part going in there. When that's all welded in there, I believe it'll be plenty strong enough. I'm also going to put a Monte Carlo bar across here, adjustable, so I can, I took some measurements before I cut anything, so make sure nothing moves there. So, I mean, if I had to in the future, if I decided I really just don't have enough room still, I could take the shock towers out. It's a lot of work, though, doing all this, and to do that later, but yeah, that's the way it goes. That's how you learn. So here we go. I got my motor mounts in the mail today from Auto Crafters. So I'm going to put them in and set the motor back in just to see exactly where I'm at here with my clearance issues, because I'm putting 351 WINDSOR in here, and it's tight. I got to notch the shock towers. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is I'm going to put the motor mounts in, set the motor back in, and look at what I have. I made some fixturing to help me drill the holes, because I want a radius in the corner and not a square. So this is what I've got so far. You see my hole saw here. It's going to go in. Here's a layout. So this is basically what I'm taking out right here. I've checked and double checked and triple checked, and actually I'm glad I did, because my original plan was to come down here as low as I could, right to the top of this hole. I think I mentioned that before. So my plan is to notch this just as deep as I can to give me as much room as possible around that motor, around the headers and stuff. I think this is still going to be in the way, but so I'm going to come right down to the bottom of these holes. These are the original holes. This is the drop I put in. I put my A-arm back in and looked at what I had for clearance, and I would have been into the A-arm under here. So I'm glad I'm glad I checked that again. I see why people angle that front edge down, and I might still do that, but I want to get the rough cut in. You can see I have just enough room for that in my, so it's down in the lower holes. It's down in the drop, the 1 inch down and 1/8 inch back holes that I put in. So I think I'm gonna go for it and drill start cranking in the holes. I think I'm at that point now where you just start cutting and say, hope everything's okay. I've checked a lot of stuff. I got the spring perch back in here, so you can look down in there and see. I actually put a straight edge in here, showing where the spring is. I'm going to have a good 3/4 to an inch of clearance there behind the spring when this is in. It's hard to see here with my hand in the way, but you can see that sitting down there where the spring's going to be. And if you look at the straight edge, it's a good, probably almost an inch away from my cut mark here, so there should be no problem with the spring interfering, hitting with anything. Obviously I need as much room as I can possibly get, trying to get headers in there. So I think we're gonna go for it. It's gonna have a nice corner radius in there. Looks like I'm right on my lines, good. I was coming up with this, trying to come up with a good excuse why I scribed that line up here, because that's not where it goes. It goes down here at the bottom of this. It's a reference line, that's what it is. So down here is the actual depth, the bottom of this radius right here. I can't see what I'm talking about because I'm not pointing at it. The bottom of this radius here is actually where the cut line is going to be. So that's going to be down here. There's a look at the fixture I made. A couple of pieces of pipe for spacers to hold it square against there and hold the distance out. And then it's also, I'm going to be able to flip it around and use it on the other side too. I think it's going to work pretty well. Nice radius in the corners here. Connect the lines here and cut it out. Should be good to go. I got my shock tower cut, and I checked it out and I can go a little bit lower. So I modified the tool a little bit. And I'm going to take about another 3/8 or so out of here. Trying to gain just as much as I can. And then I plan on sloping this front edge down to gain even a little bit more. Because I had the motor in there and it's still pretty tight. So I'm going to see what if I can get the max I can get. And that should still just clear the A-arm here on the inside. Cool. Well, I'm trying to get all I can get out of this. I got to clear the A-arm in here. So, got the laser on there. Okay, I've ran the suspension up through its travel, and I believe I've got just about all I can get. As far as my notch goes, you can see it here. So I ran the suspension up and down the upper A-arm, and I'm leaving about 3/16 of an inch of clearance everywhere. So here we go. I'm going to cut this out. I might be able to get some more here. I'm sure I can, because I can angle this down more and leave like a tab on my plate that I'm going to make here, and I could run this down farther. I can gain, probably go down into about here with it. Well, here we go. I'm going to give it a cut. As you can see, that's about the clearance I want over here. About 3/16 or so. And that should run all the way up through that's the closest it gets there at the top. And then it kind of pivots around this point right here, obviously. Center of the shaft's right there. This side could come down a little bit, which I'm going to bring it down some. Then it's going to taper out and then be flat. It should be a flat plane on the front because I projected it on there with that laser, so it should be a good flat surface there in the front. Just blend it in a little bit, take a little more off this side over here. And you can see that's with the A-arm all the way up. You can see the clearance I have. about 3/16 of an inch across there. So I don't even know if the A-arm can go up that high. I don't think the spring could compress that much. But that's the bump stop. It's up to the bump stop in there, so must be it does go up that high. Still think I can take this part down more. I'm going to put the motor back in and see how much room I have with the engine in there. So stay tuned. So I got my laser on here. I am projecting my plane. I've done some measurements I measured from this hole up to the center. I also measured from the bottom of the frame up to this point and this point on the other side to make sure it's going to come out the same. It looks like everything's checking out well. So I'm going to draw this. Yeah, no battery. Okay, Did a little more fine tuning with a laser. Check my dimension here. I got about 1 7/16 on the other side, 1 3/8. 1 3/8 here, real close. Deburr everything. I gotta clean all the paint off of here. I gotta get my piece of metal for this, obviously, for this here. Still not sure what I want to do here. Still thinking I'm going to cut that down steeper. Leave a little tongue on this front piece that can come down. I'd like to get this back a little bit more, at least even with these would be nice. I really need to get a set of headers so I can try test fitting it in there and see what it looks like. I'm trying to fit this on here, and I want it to fit inside right here, so I can weld this outside and the inside. I think that's what I want to do. So I have to trim it the rest of the way around, but I can't hold it in there; it just falls off. So what I thought I would do is maybe just tack a washer on here and tack a nut behind here. I don't have one right here handy. And then just put a screw in there to hold it in place and hold it flush here while I trim the rest. That way I can take it in and out to grind it and whatnot. I think that'll work. I don't know, I've never tried it before, but seems like a plan. I just tack welded that washer on there. You can see. And then I tack welded a nut here so I can keep putting it back in this basically the same place. Just put the screw in. And as I trim and go around, I'll add some more of these. I'm going to set my second hold down here if I can. That needs to come out. Whoops. Well, that wasn't tacked on there very good. Well, the welder's not on. I'm flipping my head like I got my helmet on. I don't have that on. That's what you want to do. You want to leave that screw in there and get that nice and hot. So you forget and grab a hold of it with your bare hands. That should be hot enough to bend now. Pretty good. More fine tuning there. That's not bad there. I got that up a little bit. Marked that there. We took a little bit here and there. Gonna sneak up on it, hopefully. Well, I gotta say these lights from Harbor Freight are pretty tough. Dumped that thing on the ground from 3-4 feet high a few times. Boy, that is really close. There we go. That looks pretty good. Just gotta tweak it just a little bit, bring that nose out just a hair. That'll give me that taper down to flush that I want. Let's see, I got my laser level set up here. That's how I projected this angle on here for this tongue. So I basically just set it on a tripod down here. I matched this line here from the other side, and then I'm projecting a line up that gives me a straight line so I can get a nice projected straight line cut on there, so hopefully my tongue will match the other side. Well, it should. You can see I've got my laser lined up there, so I'm just going to trace that now with like a red pencil, and it gets you pretty close enough to start cutting, and then grind from there. And I think this looks like a job for the Sawzall. So I'm gonna take the tension off this spring so I can loosen these up and slide that A-arm back temporarily so I can get in there and get a straight cut with my Sawzall. Looks like the best way to go about it. That's next. But of course I've got the car sitting on that suspension, so it's pushing it up. So I've got to get the car supported on something other than the suspension. So I've got the frame suspended on jacks up here in the front now. I got the weight off of that, and you can see I got the spring up, so should be able to back these right off. Should really be hardly any weight on that. Famous last words. Yeah. Yeah, that should do it. That should do it, hopefully. That should set there okay, I would think. Yeah. Let's see how this does. I did find my paper template I had for this, which was kind of a miracle, I'm not going to lie. So that's pretty much trimmed up pretty close. I just got to add my little bit down here. I've got a piece of material here. I'm going to go something like that. Like that. I'll get this trimmed up, and so I've got my pattern here. I'm going to lay it out on a piece of Lawan, and then you take the distance on your half the distance of your diameter of your plasma cutter off the edge. I'm sure you've seen other people do it on YouTube, so that it cuts the correct size. If not, if I just cut around here, it'll be, I think it's 3/32 or so bigger than what I'm tracing. Is it almost dinner time? Is it almost dinner time? Huh? Is it almost? Okay, almost in time. Almost, not quite. Not quite. Hold on. Set my pattern in there. I marked the center line of my bend. I transferred it over to my piece here. Now I'm going to try to get that lined up in there and bent in the proper place. I get some better light. Well, let's see what she does. Obviously it needs more, but I was bending this. I didn't want to bend that. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, not bad. Not too bad. This side needs more. This side looks pretty good. This side needs more bend. Trying to move this bend up a little bit. I can. Which I think I did. We'll have to see. Good here. Oh yeah, it's a lot better. Could still stand to come in a bit. I like this. So far this is good here. Have to work it a little bit. Obviously it needs some trimming up. I knew it was going to be big, but I didn't want it to be short, so I'd rather grind it off. Bent this just a little bit more here, and it looks like I got it. Looks like I got lucky, and it seems to fit really well there. Looks like the other side could open a hair, but that looks pretty good. Needs to open. This right here needs to open up just a bit. Let's see what that does. Might have been, I don't know, might have been too much. Let's see. That's not too bad. It's going to be close on the end there. Looks like it's going to be a little short right there. take any more off of that. Everywhere else it needs some, but not there. A little bit of material down here, a little short right here on the end. I mean, I can fill it with weld, but I'd rather form this down and around. I'm gonna try working this edge over, extending this a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's not really going. I don't think that's going to really go. Might have gained a hair, not much, maybe a little bit, right down in here. There, see what that looks like. Edge has got to come up a little bit. There's my line I scribed from the back side. I'm going to try to cut some of it with the, instead of grinding it all off, I'm going to cut some of it with the saw here. Cuts pretty good. Yeah, still winter in New York. So my clothes are getting good and dry. Yeah, getting a little snow rinse. So my screws came yesterday. I've been waiting for my transmission cover. I thought it was because the package said, or the ad said 100, but it's not. It's only 20. So I don't think that's going to be enough. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the count was on my screws, but let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, need about 25 probably. But we're back. Let's see. Let me get some lights on here. Yep. Second shift didn't do anything again. Some more trimming to do over here on the side. This side's pretty close where it's got to be. I want to work on this side here. I'm starting to get it fit here. Starting to fit a little better. Temporary hold downs work pretty good. Bent this a little too much. That's a little better. It's still got to come out of here at the top. Some marks under here. I'll try to trim this a little bit. I marked this little tongue here where this has got to be bent down. I'm going to try to get that bend in there now. I also added a little weld on the end of here, so it'll be a little easier to fill that when I get ready to finish weld it in there. Let's see. I gotta come up with a better way to bend that. Kind of got it mounted in here, kind of half-fast, but I think I can get that to bend all right. Well, let's see what we get here. A little more trimming here and there. We'll get in there. So I think this is the final fit. Looks pretty good. I've been grinding on it for a while, but it's paid off. I know it's just getting welded in there, but I still like to make them fit nice. Obviously you get a better job that way. Pretty decent fit. Should weld well around there. Now I'll have to get inside there and take the paint off on the inside, because I think I'm going to weld in there also. I don't know if I really need to or not, but it'll be a lot easier to get the paint out of there now before I weld it and get it done. I'm getting ready to pull this off of here and take the spring out so I can get in here and clean this up and get it ready to weld. Not sure how much welding I'm going to do on the inside, but I want to get the paint off there anyways, because it's just going to burn and stink. So let's see if I can lower this with the drill. Ooh. See what I can do under here. That's pretty well sealed off there, where I put my plugs in up here in them top two holes. I'll get this mounted in there and start tacking it. That's looking pretty good. Here's what it looks like from underneath. Got a decent fit there. It should weld fine. I'm going to get it tacked in a few spots and then go from there. That is pretty well tacked. Oh, just got to do this down here. Feels pretty good. I gotta check my measurement across here before I finish welding that. Well, there's my original picture I took with my phone. It looks like 31 and 11/16. So let's see if it moved. It does not look like it moved. Oh, maybe a little bit. It's not the exact same tape measure though. Let me go see if I can find the exact tape measure I used. I think it's in the house. I found the exact same tape measure I used the first time. And, come on, get in there. Look at that. Just about right on the money. So I don't think it's enough to worry about right now with no weight on the suspension. And I think my Monte Carlo bar coming across there, I can easily make up 1/16 of an inch or so difference. So I think I'm going to be good to go. That side's welded up. I got some grinding to do, of course. I'll blend it all in so it kind of looks nice, I hope. Oh, the paint's still wet, but I'm trying to get this video done so I can get it out. I'm trying to get one a week. I'm a day late on this one. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Did I do it for nothing? I'm still not sure. The 302 will fit with the shorty headers that I have. Fits in and around my steering, and I went with the original Z-bar bracket, which was in an earlier video. So we'll find out. I'm going to get the motor back in there, and then I can try the 351 again, probably in springtime when the weather's a little better, when I get the motor out of storage. But thanks for watching. Enjoy these videos. Please like and subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Thank you. Bye.